Psst. I heard something. The king kisses men after midnight. And I heard something else. They say the plague comes for those who skip church. And did you know the earth isn't flat? Actually, it's round. For most of human history, stories and information spread like gossip around a village fire. One person whispered to another, who whispered to another. Knowledge traveled by thin air, by incomplete memory, by facts merging with fantasy. What is true or not true was always decided by some sort of gatekeepers, long before most people could even read or write. Like the king, the leader of the community, or well, the church. Access to some grand God above usually boosts your credibility quite a bit. But overall, who's a witch and who needs to be burned and who's to be trusted was always decided by gatekeepers. That's how information got spread basically since forever. Then, not too long ago, around 1450, a majestic metal machine in Mainz, Germany, flipped the script. The arrival of the printing press. Suddenly, words were no longer fragile sounds in the air. They were printed, copied, and sent across kingdoms and soon-to-be democracies. Literacy expanded. Suddenly, there were publishers for books. Daily gossip transformed into daily newspapers. Journalism was born, and for the very first time in human history, you could make a living by searching for the truth. So, gatekeepers straight from the words of God were upgraded to gatekeepers straight from critical thinking and hopefully evidence-backed and peer-reviewed. I guess you could say we did have a shared truth for at least a couple of years. Knowledge became a very successful business model, and being a journalist was very, very sexy. And that's where I came in. The media industry is the one industry I always admired. As long as I remember, I always felt that journalism was one of our most important professions. Making sense of the world, building a shared foundation. But then another little revolution knocked at the door of the internet. I was super young and stoked to become a journalist. But everyone I ever talked to warned me, Max, don't do it. There are no jobs, no security, salaries are shit. And when I started my first internship, I already felt it. This ship was sinking for real. And that's why I ended up in public relations, not in journalism. It's not a rocket science to understand what happened. We once paid €1 a day for a newspaper, happily. Paying for journalism was normal, almost a ritual. But when everything moved online, information became free of charge. People stopped paying for news. And years later, that hasn't changed a lot. So, let's do a quick check. If you have Netflix, Amazon Prime, Spotify, Disney+, hands up. Come on, everybody, hands up. Okay. Now, if you have more than 2 streaming subscriptions, hands up. Almost everybody, okay? Put your hands down. I'm not going to ask you, but do you also have more than 2 subscriptions for journalism? Quite a few. But for quality fact-checking journalism, do you actively pay for it? When it comes to paying for quality journalism, Most of us hesitate. And most publishers never recovered from that shift. You could say the internet melted the entire economic foundation of the one industry whose job it was to make sense of the world in a trustworthy, in a rational way. The one industry I so admired. By saying it was slightly bitter to watch, I'm putting it very, very mildly. Journalism might not be the most sexy profession anymore, but I still feel it's one of the most important professions we have to keep our democracy alive. We live, thankfully, in a free democracy. And in a democracy, persuasion is power. One person, one vote. But the same freedom that makes us open and creative also makes us fragile. So convincing millions of people of something can change a society. And with today's internet and technology, this is terrifyingly possible and easy. This is why disinformation spreads like wildfire in free societies. The question is, how free can we really be when we are so easy to influence? I mean, did COVID come from a bat or a lab? Was it all planned by Bill Gates? Or Ukraine? Is it defense against aggression? Or is it NATO's provocation? Each narrative has millions of believers, no matter how far it is from the truth. Each believer is in their multiple filter bubbles, reassuring us what we already believe. The problem isn't lack of information. The problem is too many narratives seducing our vulnerable minds hungry for meaning. And when factual foundation collapses, democracy collapses. Without a shared truth, one person, one vote becomes meaningless. If you step onto Teufelsberg in Berlin, it's a small hill, the only hill we have in Berlin, you can see the RBB Tower. It's a very powerful public broadcaster whose daily news reaches about 300,000 people. Well, that's the range of a random, mid-sized Instagram creator with a ring light. That's crazy. When social media was born, people posted about their dog's birthday or shared pictures of beautiful sunsets. But then post became content. Content became attention, and attention became money. The creator economy took over the business model traditional media once owned. But socials don't ask, is it true? They ask, is it engaging? It's a money-making dream machine, open to everyone. So democratizing media ended up breaking our democracy instead. Well, at least potentially. If the creator economy already felt overwhelming, wait until AI joins the party. I don't want to repeat the doomsday narrative about deepfakes and AI creators. I want to talk about another side of the same story. Think about the simple act of Googling. Already it feels a bit old-fashioned, I'd rather use ChatGPT. But Googling is a cultural habit of looking things up online, browsing through different links, and form yourself an opinion. Where does COVID come from? What's happening in the Ukraine? This habit will change. It will change from looking things up to getting them told. It's the laziest but very human instinct of explain it to me, but make it short and simple. No research anymore, just one final answer on my screen or in my ear. AI will be everywhere. So that shift is of two tectonic plates colliding, cracking open the very crust of our shared foundation. But I feel exactly through this little crust is where the light gets in. The tiny glimpse of hope that we might get to save what's been dying in our hands. A trustworthy gatekeeper of truth. So, think about AI. AI is able to organize knowledge, but the question is whose knowledge? Depending on the model and company, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or Claude or Grok and whoever's yet to come, each AI has a hierarchy of trust of sources. Already, large language models give more weight to big trusted outlets like New York Times or Der Spiegel in Germany. So, AI's reasoning is designed, and it's likely more solid than whatever that charismatic guy with the cool hair on TikTok is saying. AI could be the new gatekeeper for truth. So maybe, just maybe, we have a chance to get back what we lost. You all know, of course you know, we are in Germany, you all know the word data privacy. So, data privacy is a really, really unlikely concept when you look at the basic architecture of the internet. But after years of debate, Europe now runs on a simple idea: privacy by design. So, your data stays private, even if you don't care. Even if you never read the fine print. I know not every company loves it, but I guess you're welcome. What if we can do the same thing for trust? The way large language models operate gives us this tiny chance to make them stand on something worth standing for: trusted sources. I'm talking about expanding our protection for democracy. If you like, we need a vaccine of truth for AI. So let's do a little thought experiment. Think about public health. We don't wait for people to get sick and then sell them medicine. We build clean water systems so cholera never spreads. We vaccinate so epidemics don't explode. We ban smoking indoors and we make seatbelts mandatory, so fewer people die for stupid reasons. So instead of cleaning up misinformation after it spreads, we should design AI to be healthy by default, like a truth vaccine for AI. Of course, what healthy means here is a little bit more complicated, but hear me out. Imagine we managed to create a trust seal for media outlets. Not by governments, but by a group of academics, of journalists, of citizens. A bit like a citizens' council. People from different backgrounds are working together, debating openly. This seal would be given based on clear standards. For example, if editorial teams are transparent about who funds them, if they are independent from political pressure or clickbait, and if they check their facts and correct their mistakes. So, media outlets could apply if they want. No one forces them. But if they do, they earn something priceless. They earn credibility and better visibility across AI systems in Europe. The goal is simple: that large language models dance first with trusted sources before flirting with the rest. In my opinion, everyone can be as lazy and as gullible as they like. But in a democracy, I just have to trust that my fellow citizens are not living in a completely different reality. And I get it. A good conspiracy theory can be tempting. I mean, I still want to believe that there are UFOs watching us down here and that the US government knows more than it's telling us. I get it. None of us are immune, so maybe it's time to move the fuel a little bit further away from the fire. The laziest attempt to getting an answer to any silly question you or me might ever have must also be the most trustworthy. But let's face it, in a one-touchpoint world where AI delivers everything in one place, the old media business model will have a very hard time surviving. Journalism couldn't be more relevant to sustain our democracies, but to financially sustain themselves. This model is under threat more than ever before. Right now, the world is debating with lawyers, with lobbyists, with a lot of noise, what fair use and copyright should even mean in the age of AI. But there is something every single one of us can do about it. If you and I don't pay for journalism with actual money, it won't survive. And if journalism doesn't survive, AI won't have any trusted sources left to draw from. If we let journalism crumble, while the creator economy runs wild and AI keeps pouring gasoline on top, we'll watch our common ground burn to ashes, and our democracy with it. But look, I'm not here to give up. We know we can build a resilient, tech-enabled backbone of shared truth. We know if we don't treat journalism as the lifeblood of our democracy, there soon might not be much democracy left to celebrate. The window to shape how AI defines truth is open now, and I promise you, it won't stay open for long. This is the moment the rules are written. This is the moment the playbook is drafted. So, next time, you grab a €5 coffee, skip it, and pay for good journalism instead. But since we still live in a democracy, in the end, I guess, it's up to you. So what are you going to do? Thank you.